the Sunday morning, 1 o'clock. So you're tuned into Cooking with Dominic on a Sunday. Always a pleasure to be with you. So let me start off, of course, by saying good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe, Mr. and Mrs. Regis, wherever it is that you're taking us in. If it is that you're making your way to or from the grocery. Oh, it's kind of late for not to now be starting lunch, but yeah. Morning, Angie. Morning to Bruce and Sharon, all of the staff of the Street 919 FM. To Mother Tunapuna. I haven't heard you in a while. Good morning to Mano Umanoga. Alison Lewis, good morning. Louise, good morning to you as well. And to all of the haters, we say good morning, a special good morning to you all as well, because you all an integral part of this program, you know, particularly the live chat. I mean, you all help to make it a little more spicy, even though sometimes some of you all tend to jump out yourselves and then we have to end up blocking you and so on. But just keep it civil now, and we wouldn't have to do you all that, because we love having you listen to the truth. For some reason, you all are attracted to it, and you just can't seem to keep yourselves away. And we understand. So, right. So it is now 20 past 11. So many people have messaged me over the last week or so, saying this. We need more time on a Sunday. 2 hours is not enough. Well, we'll see how that progresses. So, let us get straight into it. It was my intention today to. So, good morning. Let me say good morning to some of the folks on the chat. Good morning to Rosemary Headley, Lawrence Gibbs, Jennifer Dorset, Eric. Good morning to you, sir. Who else do we have here? Right, that's all I'm seeing for the time being, I suppose. Anthony Reynolds, good morning. Darrell Nanton, good morning to you, sir. Haven't forgotten you. I'll follow up on that thing tomorrow. Yeah. So I was saying it was my intention today to come and talk about the Betty James, Alison Boyce, good morning to both of you as well, about the development in respect of murder now becoming, well, seems to be one step closer to becoming a bailable offense, right? Thanks to the astute lawyers of the United National Congress, namely former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan and sitting UNC Senator Jayanti Lakshmi. Yes, you have those two goodly lawyers to thank for opening the pathway or the doorway for alleged or accused murderers to be able to access bail and come back out on the street and terrorize the families and witnesses or potential witnesses to any crimes that they may have committed. So the same people always up and down the place bumping the gum about crime, and under the PNM, whenever the PNM in power, you always have crime always on the rise. Yeah, but they have decided, well, we want to create a loophole for some of these alleged criminals to be able to continue to roam the streets having committed their crimes. But I want to ask Jayanti, before I get into the other topic I wanted to touch on, I want to ask Jayanti Lakshmi, who was instrumental in bringing about, in arguing for the coming about of this judgment. The other day when your neighbor, that unfortunate killing that took place with, I think, the woman who was leaving home in her station wagon in the morning and she was shot and killed, the young mother, who was your neighbor, and you were on the evening news talking about, it hits different when it hits home, because it was right in your neighborhood. The lady lived, I think, a couple houses away from Jayanti, right? How would you feel if it is the police were to apprehend the alleged killers of this woman? Would you, and they seek you out because they realize you have some prowess in the courthouse, and they seek you out, ma'am, to represent them for their bail hearing? Would you take the case? And if not, why not? Because if you went to the courthouse and you argued a strong case for murder to become a bailable offense, then you ought not to discriminate. Anybody who is accused of murder and is arrested and charged, based on your arguments in the courthouse, should be given the opportunity to apply for bail. So what would you do in that case, Jayanti? Would you say, no bail for them because I know the person? No bail for them because the person close to me? So how do you think all of the families and friends of all the other persons who have been murdered and whose killers or alleged killers have been apprehended feel today, Jayanti? How come you all didn't call a big press conference to beat your chest and brag and boast? We beat Faris again, that amateur attorney general who loses the most cases. How come you all didn't call a press conference? I didn't listen to your press conference this morning to see if that's what you all talk about. But I would have thought that immediately upon the handing down of that judgment, you all would have been proud to bump your gum, put out a press release, to boast. Or is it because you know that there are lots of people in your very party who don't support that, but they will still vote for you all anyway? They're not going to come out vocally. They might say it within behind closed doors, but they won't come out in public and talk about it. Yeah, because apparently the UNC's new mantra is not to air their dirty linen in public. A mantra which seemingly, a mantra which seemingly, which had belonged to the PNM, a lot of people in the PNM now seem to want to discard. But I will leave that for another day, right? What I wanted to touch on today was the conversation that was being had yesterday. A conversation that keeps coming up all the time, all the bloody time, about when the PNM in power that they don't take care of their own. And when the PNM in power they don't do nothing for black people. A fed up here that's dotish, foolish, asinine argument. Fed up. The fact of the matter is, when any political party goes to the polls, right? General election, and they're on the campaign trail, I, to the best of my ability and my recollection, do hear the PNM saying, well, vote for us because we are a black party. Or vote for us and we will do things for black people only. They appeal to every single voter in the country. All. Whether they support the PNM or not. They will go on a platform, they will present their ideas and policies, and they would ask everybody to vote for them. When the candidates are on the walkabout in the respective constituencies that they are contesting, they go to as many homes as they can. Even if they know that the house is a UNC house, they still go and talk to the householder in the hope that maybe I could convince them to vote for me. All right? And they don't go to anybody and say, well, hey, what race of people living in this house here? Africans? All right, we go in here. Give me a list of only the African people or the Afro-Chinese who live in this constituency, because that's who all we going by, because the PNM is a black party. And when we get into power, we only dealing with black people. How foolish. What a dotish, nonsensical argument. The government is the government for Trinidad and Tobago. It is not the government for a particular race. But they like to talk this talk that the PNM does only see about persons of a particular race. Primarily, the 1%, the Syrian Lebanese community. Never mind the fact that there is cogent evidence to show that the Syrian Lebanese community, the so-called 1% community, has lost more money under this administration than under any other administration. So it baffles me how we could continue to push that foolish narrative. So let me just give you all some examples that I have quoted from time to time that some people just can't get through their head. One, the main way that the Syrian Lebanese community gets money from any government, not just the PNM, any government, is through the rental of the properties by the government to house ministries and state and government departments. Main way, right? Real estate. Who owns the majority of the buildings in Port of Spain? Who owns them? The Syrian Lebanese community. You could ask Kamla. And she claims she have a dossier with over 150 buildings that are owned by the clan. And I'm going to come one night and I will tell you all about this 150 buildings and who own it. That was the first and last time we hear about that. Still waiting to hear about the clan and the 150 buildings that they own in and around Port of Spain. Whose fault is it that you don't have buildings owned by persons of African descent for the government to rent? Buildings that meet the requirements to house ministries or state agencies. Whose fault is that? So if in the absence of buildings owned by persons of African descent that can house a ministry, what all you want the government to do? Who all you want them to rent it from? You want them to take money from the treasury and give it to the African community and say, go and build a building and we'll rent it from you? I just asking. Because these arguments that you all have makes absolutely no sense. None. But we continue to push this narrative that the PNM, they say the PNM is a black party, is an African party, but them don't care about the black people, and they only see about the 1% and the 1%. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and this is worth repeating, we had government campus that was built by Patrick Manning with the express intent of housing ministries, state departments, government departments, take them out of the rented properties from the so-called 1% and put them in state-owned property so that the government could save money in rent. For 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, those buildings remained empty. All they needed to be was outfitted.
This is
the
your
same
Royal
millions
Castle
and hundreds of millions of dollars that were spent
919
to
FM.
pay rent for that 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days could have been used to outfit those buildings. But the people who today want to tell you all the different things that the government could be spending money on, that the 15 or the 20 million that they were spending for the Taster Carnival, they could tell you everything that money could have been spent on. Right? The 200 million that the government would have used, or rather the NGC would have used in an attempt to save we go to the soca shop and we'll be right back.
Royal Castle is the look of something that makes it all this better.
Taste the unique flavor of our culture at Royal Castle.
She wants to play the mask with the Iron Man. When she hear the brass, now she understand. We didn't come to play, we have an iron plan. Cause when we see them gal, you know it's real bam bam. She looking for iron, want to walk on the iron, want to wine on the iron, push back on the iron, baby. Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your baby? Tell them no hold back your hand. You're ready to pump. You must find a drama. You link with your friend, them and you form in your man. You want to rhythm, you want to start with iron. You fell up and up, you're looking for iron. Want to walk on the iron, want to wine on the iron, push back on the iron, baby. Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your soul? Is the iron have your baby? She want the Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man, just beat it like steel pan. She want the Iron Man, Iron Man, she want the Iron Man, just beat it like steel pan.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air, they just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and it's the real flavor of TMT.
That was your Royal Castle Soca Shot on the street 919 FM, brought to you by Royal Castle. Our culture, our taste.
Welcome back. Right. Thank you for staying locked to the street 919 FM. So, I didn't realize that the ad had come up. But I was making the point before, right? 5 years, 3 months, 14 days, we continue to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in rent to the same 1%. Right? As soon as this administration came in, first thing they set about doing was to outfit the government campus so that they could move out all of these ministries and government departments from this rented property into government campus. So all those millions in rent that the 1% community would have been earning for that 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, they're no longer earning. For those of us who are familiar with Port of Spain and who are in Port of Spain almost every day would notice the building that used to house customs, Nicholas Towers at the bottom of Independence Square and Abercrombie Street, has been empty for the past 6 years. Right now they have up signs saying space for rent. I keep talking, the building behind that used to house the Ministry of Sport, empty for the last 6 years. And the building after that used to house our department of the Ministry of Education, also empty for the last 6 years. And all around Port of Spain, you have 1% owned buildings that were occupied between 2010 to 2015 and no longer occupied today. And therefore, that is hundreds of millions of dollars that was going into the Syrian Lebanese community, the 1%. Thanks to this administration, they're no longer getting. I've mentioned before that the prisoner transport contract that you all used to be complaining about every year, is $80 million the government spending and putting in the pocket of Sabga Abood. Started under Basdio Pandey in 1995, continued through the Manning administration, continued through the Kamla Prasad Bisesa administration, came to an end under the Keith Rowley administration, right? So whatever is the amount, I don't know, you all say 80 million, but we heard it wasn't that much, but whatever is the amount, no longer getting that, right? No longer seeing a whole set of amalgamated vans, whole convoy up and down the road transporting prisoners to and from the prison to the courthouse and so on. So now this administration would have put things in place, virtual court. So the prisoners could stay in remand yard, they could remain in Golden Grove, or wherever it is that they are, see the judge, see the magistrate, and those millions have been saved. So that is millions of dollars less in Mr. Sabga Abood's pocket. Okay? We're going again. As we speak, the Ministry of Health is currently constructing its new headquarters just round by the Savannah there, right, by Jerningham Avenue. For the last umpteen years, the Ministry of Health, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, has been renting a building on Park Street for $8 million a year from the same Syrian Lebanese community, the same 1%. $8 million a year. When that building is completed and the ministry moves out and they go to that building, state-owned, you'll have another building in Port of Spain, prime property, empty. $8 million less going into the pocket of the 1%. But this is a 1% party, and they only see about the 1%. When this administration came in, and they made it clear before they came in, you see all those leases that Kamla Prasad Bisesa gave out in Chagaramas, to again, the 1%. We will be putting an end to it. Those that have not yet come to an end are still before the courts. Still before the court. Where one man would have gotten 100 acres to plant onions and then use a portion of the land to pave it to put up restaurant and rent it out to host Carnival Fete. Right? 50 acres was taken back from him. Who gave it to him? Wasn't Keith Rowley. Who took it away from him? Keith Rowley administration. But this is a 1% party, and they only saying about the 1%. Now, I heard the professor from New Jersey call in and talk about some program that the Biden administration has with respect to persons of African descent and giving them some 14% of contracts, whatever it is. I cannot believe that in 2022, we are still advocating that the African community, that the only way the African community can achieve economic success is through affirmative action. That the government has to say, let us legalize or legislate handouts for the African community, because that is the only way the African community could become successful. They don't have the capacity, the mental capacity, the economic capacity to compete on a level playing field and to get contracts by virtue of merit. No, they need legislated handouts in order for them to do well. But everybody else, no problem. They could handle their stories. But for some reason, the African community is mentally and economically handicapped. That they can't come together as a community like the others, like the Jews and the Chinese and the Italians and all of these other people in the US to do what they need to do to achieve economic success. Well, even if that is the case, and you want to tell me 14% for the African community, who get in the next 86? Who get in the next 86? Talk to me about that. I'm curious to know. And we want to advocate the same thing in Trinidad. I have made the point before, and I will repeat it again and again. so long as the People's National Movement holds the reins of power in this country, there is nothing that they can do that is specific, that is intended to benefit specifically the African community. Because the minute they do that, and there is evidence to show, the UNC have the battery of lawyers and the activists just waiting in the wings to run to the courthouse and to run to the Equal Opportunities Commission to cry discrimination. And then almost every time the court and the economic and the Equal Opportunities Commission will find in favor of the UNC that yes, this program that is being run by the PNM here, that is discriminatory. That is for people of African descent primarily. No. You need to give to everybody. But when the UNC in power and they do the same thing, I've said it before, the PNM people will call in on the radio and they will gripe and they will complain, and that is as far as they're prepared to go. As far as they are prepared to go. They ain't going to the Equal Opportunity Commission. They're not going to the courthouse. No, that is it. We will cuss out on the radio station and leave it there and allow the UNC to do what they want. So if they want to give to their people, their finances and so on, go right ahead. Let me give you all an example. Mr. Manning created CPEP, right? And CPEP was supposed to provide two benefits. One, from the contractor standpoint, to develop an entrepreneurial class, primarily among persons of African descent, right? Okay. Because when we looked at the ethnicity of some of the earlier contractors, we saw there was a pattern. Now, people shouldn't really have a problem with that, because if you keep saying that the African community is disadvantaged, and that, as Mr. Pinal loves to say, the East Indian community is doing so well under the UNC, and that persons of African descent in the PNM should leave the PNM and come to the UNC because they're seeing their brothers and sisters in the UNC doing so well, that they should come over. But yet still, you have so many persons of African descent supporting the UNC hell hard and still catching the nen. But Pinal saying, more of you, come over, come. You see how your East Indian brothers doing well? Come, you'll flourish. Let me read this. Let me get this right. So I was saying with respect to CPEP, it was supposed to create entrepreneurs, one. For a period of time, you get your contract and so on. I was expected that you would earn sufficient income that you would be able to establish your own business, and then as you move along, other contractors will come and get the same benefit, make some money, establish businesses, and then move on, and so on. That aspect of it didn't really flourish too much, because some people realize, well, okay, it's a good right here. If it is a continue to get a contract, as the case may be, however, I good. Let me see if I get this. This is an article from the Newsday, dated the 25th of February, 2003. And it's entitled, PM Defends CPEP. Prime Minister Patrick Manning, yesterday, defended the decision to hire several PNM members as contractors on the CPEP program. I'm quoting Mr. Manning here. We make no apologies for that, he stated. He stressed, however, that it was not true to say that the majority of contracts went to PNM members. That is not so. A lot of contracts have gone to a number of other people, the Prime Minister stated. Manning was speaking with reporters following the opening ceremony of the 2003 Tribology Conference at the Trinidad Hilton. The Prime Minister said that members and supporters of the PNM must not and will not be debarred under his administration from accessing whatever the state had to offer, be it CPEP or any other program. We make no apologies for that. At least in the PNM program, we are being given a wide range of contractors. It's about 110. Had it been the last government, it would have been Ishgal Baransing, Brian Kwaitong, and Steve Ferguson, he said. Saying that it was not a crime to be a PNM, Manning stressed that the contracts had been advertised. He pointed out, though, that because CPEP is a private company, the contracts were not subject to the scrutiny of the Central Tenders Board. Manning said that the CPEP program, which is designed to improve the environment, had turned out to be one of the most successful programs introduced in the country. He said under the program, a contractor is selected and he or she employs people, maybe 40, sometimes as many as 60 persons. He said, therefore, the newspaper reports suggesting that an individual had been given $500,000 were correct, since that would have been to pay the wage bill. When you look at the figures in the context, you will come to a slightly different conclusion, he said. adding that the selection of contractors was above board. The Prime Minister said the government was in the process of expanding the program to give it national coverage, and he said it needed to hire 360 contractors, so there was more to come. However, the United National Congress confirmed what it claimed was the abuse of power, the misuse of public resources, and the naked corruption in CPEP. In a release issued yesterday, the UNC described the program as an elaborate, sinister plan to pay back PNM party activists and supporters for their plan. The UNC accused the PNM of bypassing the Central Tenders Board and the tendering rules, saying that the prospective contractors were required to put out $2,500 in order to access a contract worth between $250,000 to $550,000. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? If the PNM does anything that is perceived to benefit PNM people. So when I hear people saying the PNM don't do nothing for their own, look at right there in black and white. Right there that Mr. Manning had to defend, to say that PNM people are not to be debarred from anything the state has to offer simply because they support the PNM and the PNM is in power. But the UNC will have none of it. None of it. But let me remind you all what it is that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her cronies thought about the CPEP program. Find it here, lest you all should forget. Where is it? Gosh, where this thing is, boy. Alright, just give me 1 sec here. I know it is somewhere here. Come on, where is this? Where is this? Alright, I'm trying to find this thing here. I know I just saw it. But the point I wanted to make here too, right? So the man who we consider the national nuisance, the one who used to be the ringleader with respect to running to the Equal Opportunities Commission to make these claims, Devant Maraj. Well, he has now moved on, moved to Canada, I believe it is, because, as he says, he is now persona non grata in the UNC. They want him no more. They use him, abuse him, kick him to the curb, and well, the PNM don't want him. So, gosh, where is this thing, boy? All right, I'll find it just now, folks. Right. The scholarship fund that Mr. Manning had established, and there were a number of PNM persons who would have benefited from that, among them current PRO of the PNM, Laurel Lazama Leasing and others, right? You all remember what happened with that? Same Devant run to the Equal Opportunities Commission to complain and say there's a PNM slush fund for PNM supporters. And it's mostly persons of African descent. When you request the names, persons of African descent who benefiting from this scholarship fund. And what did the Equal Opportunities Commission say? Yes, we agree. We agree. This is discriminatory. What the PNM trying to do here to help their own. They need to open it up for everybody, right? Not just PNM people and not just people of African descent. That always happens. When it is that the Manning administration took a decision, we're going to develop East Port of Spain. Remember what happened there? Ramesh Maharaj and others jump out themselves and tell the people of East Port of Spain, hey, don't bother with them. 1 million and nothing less for your property. Forget the fact that you're owing HDC and you ain't paying your $100 a month rent. Nothing less than $1 million, because you know what? They're coming to move all here. Break down all of these buildings that you're living in. Develop the area and give it to the 1%. So make sure you're properly compensated and don't take no chain up from them where they're telling you they're going and build high-rise buildings to bring you back. That is just a ruse to get you to leave. And once you leave, that is it. Because the 1% want all in the back there. Fell by the wayside. Dr. Rowley came, said the same thing. We're going to develop East Port of Spain. And the same people jump out the woodwork to tell people what? Don't listen to them. Rowley and them just want to come and take your land. And they want to come and take your house. And they will move you out and give you small money and tell you they will bring you back when they develop the place. But all you know, that is just for the 1% friends of Rowley and Imbert and them. Don't take that chain up. And what happened? People say, we ain't want that. We're not interested. Yeah, because we know the 1% love the Laventille Hills. They want the view. They want this and they want that. Every bloody time. And you know what's even worse? Is that some of the people who live in these same communities, who always complaining that the PNM don't do nothing for their community, and the PNM don't do nothing for black people, and the PNM don't do nothing for the African community, and the PNM don't do nothing for the strongholds. Whenever the same PNM attempts to do something for the same strongholds, it's the same people who join in the UNC to tell the folks, don't take that. Don't take chain up. They're lying to all here. Nothing for all here. How many times are we going to continue this foolishness? How many examples do we have of when the People's Partnership was in office and they were taking care of their own? What did the PNM people do? Anybody could give me one example, one case where anybody from the PNM went to the Equal Opportunities Commission? Maybe I missed it, right? Maybe I missed it because I've been doing research and I can't find one. I could find many on the opposite side, but I can't find none with PNM people taking it to the extreme. But we complaining. The PNM don't do nothing. I do recall Kid Rowley ever spending taxpayers' money to hold no big bram in the diplomatic center for the 1%. Kamala did that and then told you, the whole country, who doesn't belong to the 1%, that if it is you all take pattern and take example from the 1%, Trinidad and Tobago would be a much better place, a wealthier place, a happier place if all you take pattern from the same 1% that all your cousin know. Keith Rowley didn't tell you all that. No, he didn't do that. But Keith Rowley in the back pocket of the 1%, and PNM don't do nothing for black people. When Pandey say dollar for dollar, you come with $1 and the government will give you $1. And if you don't have $1, well, hard luck. Salt, nothing for you. What Manning did? Manning came in, Manning say open the gate, both sides. You know, dollar for dollar thing here. If you don't have $1, that's no problem. The government will foot your $1 for you. Everybody come. You open the gate. How many persons of African descent was able to benefit from that? Today are the holders of master's degrees and bachelor's degrees and several, because some people took advantage of it and took 1 and 2 and 3 degrees. So those who decided not to take advantage of it, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? The Laventille Institute of Technology, where the old Ramban used to be there on the Eastern Main Road. Who did that? For which community? I think I can't remember if it was Gemma or oh gosh, can't remember, that called in the other day and was talking about how persons in the area, the young fellas in the area, not taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented there. Right? And right there, but they prefer to lime on the block. They prefer to smoke a weed. They prefer to put on a walk rather than go to the Institute of Technology or whatever it is and learn something and make something of themselves. You want the government to go and grab them by the scruff of their neck and tell them go? All the different programs that it have available. All. MIC, MyLat, MyPart. So many different things that they have available to these people, but they're not taking advantage of it. But the PNM don't do nothing for black people. The PNM is not a black party. The leader is a black man. Man keep calling and say the blackest man in Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley. But they do nothing for black people. So the only way the black community can prosper is through government handouts, right? Legislated government handouts. I made the point again. $440 million. Red House project. 25% of that went, at least 25% based on what I have been able to confirm, went to black-owned businesses. But the PNM don't do nothing for black people. But the problem is that when we have, according to what Watson calls it, black success, where are all the successful black business owners in this country? When they're successful, what do? Do they trumpet it? So whereas you all could quote for me a whole list of names of successful businessmen in the 1% community. You could quote a whole list of names for me of the successful people, some of the successful business owners in the East Indian community. But I bet if I ask you to give me a running list of maybe 10 successful black businessmen in this country, you can't give me. And it's not because they're not there, you know. It's not because they're not there. They're very much there. It's just that they keep on the low. They're quiet. So you passing and you watching a company and see, it's successful, boy. And you know what you're thinking? Had to be a 1% own that. Had to be somebody from the East Indian community own that. And when in truth and in fact, is a man of African descent who own it. But you would never believe that. Because let's face it, let's not be naive. We know that there's a mindset thing that sometimes successful persons of African descent like to keep low-key because they figure if it is that everybody know I have, people will want to come to ask me for help. So they want this and they want that. And they figure because I'm a black man and they black, I'm supposed to help them. So you know what? I know a few. I personally know a few who like that. Keeping it low-key. You don't want to say nothing. I want nobody come and ask me for nothing. So I will keep it on the hush-hush. If I get a big contract from the government, I ain't saying nothing. Keep it hush-hush. But when the others get contracts from the government, everybody knows. Talk about community, right? We have the Syrian Lebanese community, they have their association. The Chinese have their association. Even the Hindu community have a number of different associations, different groupings. Where is the African Community Association? What happened to the Black Caucus? That promising enterprise that was supposed to coalesce and bring persons of African descent together to promote economic development in the black community. What happened to that? I don't know. Harvey listens to me. I don't know if when I open the lines, Harvey could call me and tell me. But we know it had a little bit of bacchanal there. But we had prominent names that were involved in that. And that seemed to be promising, hey, finally, the African community coming together to do something, to rival the others. And it didn't last as long as the Red House fire. I ain't not casting a blame or aspersions on anybody here, because as I said, I don't know what went on, right? But I know from what I heard in the earlies that it was something that was promising, and then it just fell by the wayside. And we give the others a talking point now to come and say, you see, them are the African and them can't do nothing. They can't manage nothing. They try to come together to form an association and look what happened. So keep it divided. But we still have the Chinese Association, and we still have the Syrian Lebanese Community Association. Yeah, they patronize, they own, and so on. Which they're entitled to do. Nothing wrong with that. But if it is that we as a community not willing to do what is required, don't blame the PNM for that. Opportunities are there. Because I have never seen a government contract advertised and stated only persons of the Syrian Lebanese community could apply. Only persons of the East Indian community could apply. Only persons of the Chinese community can apply. I have never seen an RFP that stated that. So as far as I am aware, regardless of your ethnic background, you can apply. But if you don't have the wherewithal to do it, whose fault is that? That is the government fault? That's the PNM fault? When the PNM try to do things for you, take chain up. So what want them to do? What want Dr. Rowley to do? I want to see the ads come up. All right. I'll go to the next one. We'll deal with that. I also heard Kunji call. He talking about all the things that Kamla do, and Kamla give this and Kamla give that, and Kamla raise people pension and help granny and grandpa and so on. Well, Kunji, let me tell you some of the things that Keith Rowley did. There are thousands of persons in this country today who, under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, used to pay taxes. They're no longer paying taxes. PAYE, right? Those who were paying up to $6,000 a year in taxes under Kamla, thanks to Keith Rowley increasing their personal allowance to $84,000, they no longer pay taxes. And I'm sure it's more people than the amount of people on pension, Kunji, right? But I'll let you talk about those things. Just remember, Keith Rowley, and they also increased the value of the food cards and all of these different things. Not that the government wants to promote a welfare state. And coming back to the point raised by the professor from Wall Street, that while he is trumpeting what the Joe Biden administration is doing with respect to this 14%, whatever is the name of the program, I can't remember the name of it. There are a lot of people in the United States who are against that. Some of these progressive evangelical pastors, like of John Hagee and David Jeremiah, and just look at TBN. Look at it today, and you will hear them talking about it. Socialism, that the Biden administration is promoting socialism in the United States, and socialism is of the devil because the government wants to have a hand in everything, and they're giving handouts to these loafers and these low-lifers who just want to depend on government handouts to live. So the very thing that some of you are advocating in Trinidad, that the government should give more and give more and give more, in the United States, where the professor from New Jersey is advocating that the Biden administration is doing something so well, it is being, that very thing that he is promoting is being condemned in the United States by prominent voices, particularly among the Republican Party. Because they see these people who benefit from these programs as being loafers. That the Republicans are working hard to pay the taxes, and the tax dollars, hard-earned tax dollars, go into these lazy people. That's what they're saying. That is what they are saying. They are totally against the government giving money to people. But all they want to promote it here. I'm not saying that the government shouldn't give. There are people who are desperately in need and who need that government assistance. But the widespread level that some of you are promoting it on, teach a man to fish. No, don't teach him. Just set up a shop and tell him every day, go and take a fish. Just let him come every day and take a fish and let him go and cook. Keep him in a state of dependency. You know why? So that when election come around, we have a ready pool of people that we could mama guy to vote for us. Make them all kind of promises of more handouts because we know that's what they like and that is what they've been cultured to fall in love with, so that we could get votes. When we go to the ads, I'll just take an extra 5 minutes of your time when we come back. Stay locked.
NCC's website or call the NCC office at 622-1718 for information. This event is proudly supported by Digicel. The craftsmanship of our mass through color and creativity come alive at the preliminary round of the First Citizens Senior Kings and Queens competition. The magic happens on the big stage, Carnival City, Queens Park, Savannah, on Tuesday, 22nd February from 7 p.m. Which creations will move forward to vie for a chance at the coveted titles King and Queen of a Taste of Carnival? Judge for yourselves. Be there with your crew on Tuesday, 22nd February from 7 p.m. Visit TNTCarnivalWorld.com, the NCC Facebook page, or call 622-1718 for tickets and entry details. The First Citizens Senior Kings and Queens of Carnival 2022 is presented by the TTCBA in collaboration with the NCC and supported by Digicel.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to listen to the live Temple of Restoration, Pastor Curlin and the team. The Temple of Restoration is located at number 12 Endeavor Road, Chaguanas, opposite the Curab Taxi Stand. For more information, contact 488-4413 or 777-8691. The Temple of Restoration, where Jesus changes lives.
If you're experiencing pain, constipation, headaches, poor blood circulation, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, swollen or darkened feet, come visit us at Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle offer a wide range of services. Come and experience our new 3D analyzer, which allows you to have a look inside your body. We also provide live blood analysis, iridology, ionic foot detox with foot soak and foot massage, aquatherapy, full body massage, and organic supplements on sale such as Nano Silver, Nano Zinc, Body Light, cold pressed sesame oil, and more. Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. For more information, call 275-8359 or 288-1108.
Join Nicola Nicole Huggins for Health and Wealth Lifestyle every Monday from 9:05 a.m. to 9:55 a.m. right here on the street 919 FM.
Police, good day. Officer Best Price here. Johnny Q Auto Parts Division? Yes, sir. I'm here to investigate an assault on batteries. Excuse me, sir? Is it true? You have batteries selling for $488? Yes. Power Master, Optima, Vata, and Megastar batteries. So I could buy a battery for $488? Yes, sir. For cars, trucks, and boats. Backed and distributed by Massey Automotive. Which part? Right here at Johnny Q Hardware and Auto Parts Division, 15 Arabita Avenue, Woodbrook. And our new Johnny Q Superstore, located at Lowlands Mall off Claude Noel Highway in Tobago. You could call 60 Tools. Alright, thanks boss. Nah man. Ronnie, do you have $488 to lend, man?
Hi, what's up TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT. Salvation, full and free. Salvation is for everybody. Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new, with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on the Street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on the Street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845-349-5178 or 342-7303.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to the Street 919 FM. So I found the article that I wanted to read here. With respect to CPEP, which, as I told you before, was one of many initiatives taken under the former Manning administration. Again, that's just persons of African descent. Today we keep hearing the UNC members of parliament complaining. Not enough CPEP gangs in our communities. All the CPEP gangs is in PNM controlled constituencies, right? So you're only seeing a handful here and there in UNC controlled constituencies, but the largest is in PNM constituencies. Why are they complaining about that? If that is the case, I don't know. But why are you all complaining about that? And you want to know why I asked that question? Let me remind you all of what the UNC's position was on CPEP. I'm reading here an article from November 17th, 2011. It's entitled, Ministers Change View on Dead-End Jobs. Opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley and former Prime Minister Patrick Manning have both knocked government's Colour Me Orange program, saying that when the UNC was in opposition, they openly criticized these very types of programs, and today they are allowing the very same path which they condemned. The following are some of the comments made in the past by now Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Housing Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal, Attorney General Anand Ramlugan. Right, all right, just now. Let me just come back on here. 1, 2, right. Thanks, Tiana. The opposition MP Kamla Prasad Bisesa on May 6, 2010 at a political meeting in Couva, where she slammed the former government and crime said, and this was Kamla's views on CPEP, the same CPEP that they're now begging for. Manning allowed a handful of criminals to blossom and grow. The PNM nurtured these infant gangs with lucrative URP and CPEP contracts. He called them community leaders and wined and dined them. He exploited their vulnerable dependency syndrome. He exploited their vulnerable dependency syndrome because he wanted to ride the back of the tiger into political office. Now he can neither dismount nor wound this creature that he has created for fear that this very tiger will discriminately devour even the hands of those that once fed it. Kamla Prasad Bisesa in her 2006-2007 budget reply also criticized the PNM for low-level income programs. Here's what she said. The UNC government of 95 to 2001 created over 85,000 well-paid permanent jobs. By our policies, we inspired job creation in the private sector. We moved the unemployment figure from almost 19% in 95 to 10% by 2001. And we did not use URP, CPEP, and MUST to further disempower and humiliate the jobless into a dependency syndrome. I should tell you all, CPEP is a humiliation. It disempowers and humiliates the jobless into a dependency syndrome. Mr. Speaker, it is on this matter that the opposition wishes to express the highest level of condemnation of the Manning administration. Here's how she characterized CPEP. The PNM has introduced a backward and archaic labor strategy of shoving the low-skilled into a dependency syndrome and therefore presiding over the intergenerational transfer of poverty and dependency. They should take a bow, for very few governments have destroyed their own supporters in this way. Government Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal had issued a press release in March of 2006, knocking the then PNM government for boosting employment in the CPEP and URP programs. Never forget, Munilal was the same one who said, all the CPEP people do is paint stones, and if you stand up in one place for too long, they paint you too. The PNM government has taken the dependency syndrome to new heights by creating a form of white-collar Jude or 10-day syndrome. Today, unlike in the past, even those with secondary or tertiary education are on temporary jobs, which when concluded, leaves them to beg for more short-term jobs. Attorney General Anand Ramlugan, in his column in The Guardian in August 2007 entitled A Loveless Thing, criticized the former PNM government on CPEP. He said, which parent dream of having his or her child become a CPEP worker? Is this what the original grandfathers in the PNM heartland areas expected after almost a half-decade of PNM rule? Surely, the dream was that their grandchildren would be the ones driving past in air-conditioned cars on their way to work, waving to the less fortunate in our society who are forced to resort to cutting grass by the roadside to make a living. There is no future in CPEP. It is a dead-end road. It is not a serious career option. It does not add value to the economy. To perpetuate this dependency syndrome is a crime against humanity and makes the PNM a loveless thing. Yes? But when this was said, CPEP had just over 5,000 persons employed. They came into office in 2010 and decided to further perpetuate this loveless thing, this intergenerational transfer of poverty by increasing it from 5,000 to over 15,000 people. But the minute the PNM decides to do anything to help the African community, courthouse waiting, battery of lawyers in the UNC. Where is the battery of PNM lawyers? Where is the battery of PNM activists when the UNC is in power and taking care of their supporters? Where are they? Non-existent, invisible, cannot be found. But then we come and say, PNM don't do nothing for black people. You have YAPA, Hype, MUST, all of these different programs, As a matter of fact, right now, Foster Cummings, Minister of Youth Development and National Service, his ministry, they are doing human service and promoting new programs, particularly in agriculture, to encourage young people. Where he would have spoken about, look, the government is looking to allocate lands to bring young people into agriculture. Who is trumpeting this? Who? But the PNM don't do nothing for black people. And in Maloney, we had the White Up program. How many of them taking advantage of it? How many of them? No. You want the ministers and the government to come and, as I said, send the police to kick down their door, grab them by the back of their pants and say, hey, come. You're going in this program. Hey, come. You're on the block smoking weed? Come here. Throw you in the Maria. We're going down the road. And every morning they have to do that? If the opportunities are there and they're not taking advantage of it, again, I make the point about generational wealth. Why is it that we have a lot of that in the same 1% community? We have a lot of that in the East Indian community. We have a lot of that in the Chinese community. And based on my own professional experience, speaking from a professional standpoint,
This is your Royal Castle Soca Shot on the street 919 FM.
Will say to me that they are not interested in leaving any sort of legacy for the children because they worked hard, their parents worked hard, send them to school, and that was the end of it. That is what the legacy they got from their parents. And so they are following it, and they didn't come out bad. They didn't come out too bad. They did good for themselves. So I will send my children to school, and when they become adults and they start to work, they will fend for themselves. So don't tell me that about leaving no life insurance. Don't tell me that about buying property, all of that. That's not my responsibility. Let me go out and enjoy my money. That is the mindset that people put in it. When it says that this particular community
Taste the unique flavor of our culture at Royal Castle.
Projects. What are projects in the United States? The majority of people, tenants, in these jump up on a stage, on my shop, why is that? So let us not make it seem as if current It is not. It is not. We have a responsibility to come together to do what it is that we have to do, right? And I have a serious issue where people come in every week and pushing this nonsense. I have an issue with it. Because it is not true. Where are the defenders to come and tell them, oh, you're talking nonsense? It's 12:15. Generation grew up with Royal Castle from the first restaurant in 1968 when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. They just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and it's the real flavor of TNT.
That was your Royal Castle Soca Shot on the street 919 FM, brought to you by Royal Castle. Our culture, our taste.
Right. So, welcome back. Yeah, these ads just jumping up on my mind, even see when it came up. But yeah, the bills have to be paid. So, 342-0081 466-5391. See who we have here. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Doc. Yeah, in McClelly, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I like your opening this morning, man.
Thank you.
You know, I have a couple of brothers who come from foreign. Dominic, I mean, I just try to build my language, eh? Man, them real dumb boys, so but I sorry to say that. And that Saturday program, I don't know. I would just tell people if only have friends like that, or they need to let go these kind of friendships. These people have a kind of mentality. They want to keep you in perpetual dunceness. It real annoying, boy. These people speak nothing about development and progress. They are the ones coming with this dotish dependency. Stupid stay how he is. Some like, you know, you find them brothers and them talking, right? Little children grow up, went to school, take the education, listen to what their parents were telling them. Listen to what their UN parents were telling them as a matter of fact. And it's engineer and doctor and not in this country and working in Qatar and Dubai and all kind of thing. And them in the radio talking in nonsense for years straight and more than correct growing up. And going and develop yourself and get out and it's at a point that with the development. I had an opportunity to work in integrated planning. I got a little stint with the government back then before I had a career. I take a macro at the plan that even Mr. Basdeo Party had for Port of Spain, that Mr. Patrick Manning was going to continue. From become straight up the stretch, I think it's as far as managed the development program was.
Correct.
You know,
yes.
Mr. Professor and the Attorney General who hung them fellas, what's his name again? Miss Lawrence. Tell these people, don't take the deal, but
yes, I remember that.
Them just do for the people. Manning was going to do for the, and you know these people come and convince these people to stay out and living in little matchbox or something, right? And make by it real painful the kind of people that come out and talk on behalf of black people. And these people that's buying to it and stay how they living. I'm like, let me get somebody else a chance. I need that jumpy go and call and throw up the whole program, but I fed up for them. You know, I don't normally bash nobody.
Yes.
And all that kind of thing, but the dunceness them that come on the radio with me, and fantabulous and fatalicious and all this other dope talk them that's them brothers and them that's have boy. Have a nice day, Dominic boy. Keep up the good work. I hope you're rich and get some sense into some of we brothers head, boy, because they oh good, I'm going.
Thank you, sir. St. James.
Good morning.
Greetings.
My boy from Barry, well done and well said, man, and all the listeners, all the callers, Mother Tuna Puna, Martin, and hearing from Miss Carol Riley. Mother say that I love she and Sharon Felix and everybody. But you see, Dominic, as I told you, you have to continue that perpetuity of creating, parroting that narrative by certain people in the urban community. So you have to keep the cycle, right, of that dependency in order to keep them who don't have the capacity to go about doing things the right way in order to empower themselves. So I have to keep pushing that voice at the government against where they don't like black people, because it's really about them. Them looking like the easy way out. So they continue perpetuating that. But Dominic, I went on an escapade, you sent one escapade with that fella from New Jersey, right? Because I'm searching for a piece of real estate for him. And I'm coming down from my Dr. Brethren, they're the top of Frederick Street, opposite the Alma Mater St. Mary's.
Yes.
Right? There's a prime real estate there on sale, they are building there. There's a number on the glass, there's a website. So I found one for him and for black people. And then and at the bottom of the corner, you know, Eastern Credit Union. Because they say the banks discriminate against us.
Yes.
They only give us loans to build, to buy cars. So here what African people, I have $2,000 in it. 200,000 black people, 100,000 black people, 200,000, and then we go and buy the building. And then we set up enterprises, doctors, and start up business there. Because they're saying that we don't have no building and we don't have the capacity. And I want to put Wall Street to lead it. I want to put him to lead it in that building. Dominic, they be driving on the road, that's look on the left-hand side there, Alma Mater.
Yes.
Coming down Frederick Street. It's a glass front. So, Dominic, you see, turning on the corner of Henry onto Prince, between Prince and my lucky dollar there, Prince and Charlotte.
Yes.
There's a building there, there's black ownership. And there's a lot of boutiques in there.
Right.
So it's not to say black people, because that building there's a black owner.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, let me tell you something.
But St. James, the point I was making, how many people know that?
Because as you see, the community, what you said is right. There's nothing wrong with African people, no. It's just selfishness, one, and envy. And a lot of black people, they tend not to be bossy because they don't want anybody to come and ask them for nothing. Because of our history is different. We don't see Dominic and me as family with other groups. Whether I'll share one, they see one another's family regardless if they're related or not. Tupac sing about that. Those things are real. So you divorce yourself away from your community. Right? So Dominic, I just want to end and say, Whitechap, my sister called me this morning and told me the advertising classes. There's opportunities all over Trinidad, but you have to continue the narrative and parrot. These fellas who have capacity to get and build things on their own. Some of them is academics, some of them is a bunch of illiterate, and my partner say a bunch of dunks, and they're lazy. So as I say, let me start with the building of Frederick Street Prime Real Estate. I had $2,000. We approached Eastern Credit Union. No, we approached Eastern Credit Union. We will put my brother Harvey Boris on it. But here the sign I want up on the door. Inside. Leave all egos outside. Leave egos outside. By the academic, leave all egos outside and leave all our attitude outside, and let's get along. That is what I want to leave. But Dominic, good program. Make somebody else a chance. Dominic, Professor Washington, them fellas is low life, brother. Them fellas have no capacity. You want somebody to give you a government building in order for you to establish and put your name on it. Them fellas can't build from the bottom up. Them fellas are stay in a book all day morning till night, brother. Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Greetings.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
We go on by Sunday. The week gone by Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to all the haters who came after me when I spoke about the Philip Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic, correct me if I am wrong. Isn't one of the portfolio of the PNM Council in Tobago to choose the right people to represent the PNM in an election, Dominic?
Correct, yes.
Right. Dominic, the Philip Tracy jump up and ball. We are the best three to represent the PNM. Dominic, they choose themselves. And they left out Ms. Angus and Mr. Cunningham, who win elections for the PNM already in Tobago. They left him out. The Philip Tracy say we are the best three to represent the PNM. All of them lost. Now Tracy want to throw the buck at the former head at the THA. She want to throw the buck at him, Dominic. But it wasn't he who tell Tobagonians, we get permission to borrow money on the open market. The government give them permission to borrow millions in bonds on the open market, Dominic. And then Tracy tell Tobagonians, if all you vote for the PDP, all you ain't getting that money. Dominic, Tobagonians didn't wash the money. It wasn't the former head of the THA who tell Tobagonians, we go in and borrow money from the IABD to put up waterfront. Dominic, who put up waterfront in Trinidad? Mr. Manning. But now Dr. Rowley won waterfront in Tobago. Dominic, Tobagonians don't want no waterfront from Dr. Rowley. So all the haters who want to play, they're coming at me. Dr. Rowley want to send the Philip Tracy and